Hello, so it's time for a Halloween stream. I'm currently just trying to adjust this to actually fit with my mask, but it's powered up and working. So let me just play about with this and hopefully a notification comes out. All right, Daniel? I'm just currently trying to see if I can get this lined up with the mask's eye holes. But yeah, if you're wondering, it is actually working. I've set up. You can hear the whining of the electricity. See that? So if I pull the covers off, let me flick this light off for you. Right, there we go. Whether or not I'll be able to get that to focus through there, I don't know. Yep, although with the shums it's actually harder to line it up than it should be. So just a second, let me put it on my head normally and let's see if I can get this correct again. I had it working last night at the right angle. I'm probably going to have to mess about with the mount, I think, because it's probably the top mount like that needs to be adjusted. But yeah, because there's a couple of different bits on the mount. Right, anyway, let me flick this off for a moment so I don't burn it out. So I've actually built a little adapter for it, which I will show you. So let me just sort this out, then we'll do that and flick the light on again. Right, let me just unplug it. There we go, it's unplugged. You'll probably hear it stops whining. It'll take a minute to cool down, but I can flick the light on at least because I've got the end caps on. So yeah, what I'll do in a minute is try and adjust this to fit my head properly again. But there we go. Because the crocodile clips, I don't know if you saw, were too big hype, what I've ended up doing, oh, that one's bloody come out again, so I have to fix it again in a minute, is just use an old PC cable, PSU adapter. I've got some crocodile clips on order, but the PSU adapter thing, the pins from the Soviet thing fit in it perfectly. So, yeah, in theory, if I get the wire tangled again, all I need to do is put that against there and pop this on. It's a bit shit, but I said it was just a quick improvised thing. Problem is I keep shearing off bits of the wire each time I do it. But the idea was just to get one that would, there we go, that's the right way around. There's the wire, and then if I get this at the correct angle again, I can pinch it against the thing. Right, let's get that wire back on the contact. There we go. And that's powered back on again with the thing. It's not quite sitting on as flush as it should, but that's the thing. Right, let me put my glasses on so I can actually read the chat again, and then I'll figure out how to get the arm of this looking where it was meant to be. Because as I said, I've been pissing about a lot with it, doing the angling and messing about the wire. So yeah, that's that. But what I'm going to have to do is mess about with all these head brackets to get it close enough. I'm afraid there's no other way, Salona, at the moment. Yeah, that was a joke. Is tonight because today was meant to be Brexit Day. Right, I'll watch it, Mike, once I'm done. Ooh, there goes that. I have to be careful now I don't make this entire thing fall off. But yeah, I was just showing everybody the battery thing I was doing. we'll go to the chat properly. And I tell you what, it'd probably be easiest to do this off my head, wouldn't it? Yeah, I'm alright, Killstrike, thank you. We'll have a proper spooky chat in a minute when I don't end up being distracted constantly by the night vision. That's cool. What nations were one outfit, was it, or uniform? Yeah, it works better with the MM1B actually in the MM1, but I think that's just because the MM1 works better than the Shums with it. But I think that's simply just because of the size of the eyepieces, but also it's because I've been messing about with these things, and now I can't get them quite as I want them. So I think if you buy it, it's about £300, Killstrike, but B-Store sent me some for free to just do a video on. But most of what I've been messing about with is making the battery for it. I haven't taken it outside yet, height, but in terms of brightness, it seems to be the brightest out of any of the ones I own. In terms of if I put it on and look at the wall with the lights off, it's the easiest to make out details. So that's good. I'm just trying to sort out this bloody thing at the moment. I think it's because the screw doesn't quite start to get it partway on. So what, let's get that there, because those are meant to sit on. All of this is off frame, of course, but those are meant to sit on the rubber pads, aren't they, like that, to stop them going back too far. Yeah, don't forget to like the stream, because it helps YouTube share them, it seems. So let me see if I can figure out how to get this nut to screw back on. Which is easier said than done, but I think it's going back on now. Yeah, there we go. So that's that bit. Depends which gas mask you buy. I think with mine, both are bright enough when I've looked, but I think the issue is that one will appear dimmer if it's not quite aligned with your eye. So unless you're looking for them both perfectly central, one will appear dimmer. Because I was doing that, you know, with my head, doing sort of that, lifting them side by side, and one will appear brighter than the other until you're looking equally through them. Cool, yeah, Protect and Survive is a pretty interesting thing. The actual thing's actually quite creepy for Protect and Survive. Yeah, it works. I'll see if I can show it on camera in a minute once I get this bit adjusted to fit properly. But I think now, looking at it, that is in the right place again. Yeah, there we go. Right, so let me tighten up these again so it doesn't just accidentally move. Yeah, don't forget to like the stream. Right, okay, let me flick this light back off and I will power it back on. So let me plug it back into its battery unit, assuming I've got the wires on correct again. Of course, I've just knocked the connection out doing that. So let's try and do it one-handed. Hang on a second. All right, let me put the night vision down. Yeah, it's an FM foul behind me. The L1A1 SLR variant. Right, let's put you back into there. One of my caps has fallen off and I don't know where it's gone, for fuck's sake. Right. Never mind. This isn't going to work, but yeah, I'm going to have to wait for the crocodile clips. I thought I was clever doing this, but yeah, I'm not being clever. So what I'm going to have to do is strip some more of those wires off to get more of that exposed wire. The adapter works quite well at plugging into there, as you can probably see, the pins, but the issue is getting these bits to stay tight to the actual thing. But what I can do is if I just get that correct on the contacts. I'll just hold that there like for now so you can just see the night vision. Oh, let me get the caps off, for fuck's sake. Because the Cold War ended. That is literally the reason the Cold War ended. Right, let's see if I can get this somehow in frame with one of the eyepieces. So, there we go. That's sort of in frame. I might have to focus it for the webcam. Yeah, I love that noise. because it's kind of like a Hollywood noise, but it's actually a real one. Oh, thank you very much, Killstrike. Right, now let me see if I can focus it. I assume this is a summer variant because it's not very thick, is it? It's right. Whether or not my webcam will focus through this is another story. Let's try it completely set to one way, and then we'll try it the other way. Right, that's completely set one way. I don't think you can see much through there, can you? Let me try focusing it completely the other way. Once I've got it properly on the battery, I will test for X-rays, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't emit X-rays. Right, you can probably see some of the stuff through there in a blurry way, but the issue is that, as I've said before, until I rig this up properly. The funny thing with this is, the easiest way to use it, for me right now, which is kind of funny, let me get my converted thing off. I was doing that Metro fan. The problem is the webcam autofocuses. The easiest way to power this on is literally do this. But this way around? Or is it this way? Yeah, that way around. Yeah, I don't know if you'll be able to hear that when I do it, but let's just put this guy back down here again. If I literally get the cable, it's going to be too difficult to hold it in front of the webcam. That's the issue. Because, yeah, with this, what you can do, let me focus it again for my eyes. Okay, I'm going to have to give him a bit more juice. But yeah, what you can do with this is literally, hopefully you'll see the green light to prove I'm actually telling the truth with this. There we go. All right. Get that on the context properly. Yeah, it's powering up again. So hopefully you can see the green light going onto my face, maybe. Don't know if that shows up from the side, does it? This battery might need charging. Oh, yeah, there we go. That's nice and bright. But does that show the green light going into my eyes? Because that is actually working just off of a 9-volt like that. Yeah, now let me focus it. Right, that's that optic nice and clear for my eye. That's that one lovely and clear. Can I get this one a bit clearer? No, it's as good as the correction's going to go. Yeah, that's set to that setting. It's very good for my eyesight. But yeah, I'm going to have to give it some juice again in a moment. But right, there's that there. Where did I put my 9-volt? Why did I just bloody put the 9-volt? Right, there it is. Okay, so it's probably the wrong way around for the contacts. There we go. Right, can you see through that? Oh, there's the gas mask sign, so you can see that. That's showing up. There's the radiation poster. Fallout Shet one. There's the rifle with the masks on, but it's not quite focused right for them. It might be the webcam doesn't like it too close to the camera. Right, let's see if that makes it better or worse. That's better, isn't it? There we go. Right, if I give it some more juice. Again. That gives you some idea if you're still on hype of what it looks like. Both of them pretty much look the same on mine. One doesn't appear better or darker than the other. Yeah, people were saying it's like a Gen 1 Plus that's almost equal to Gen 2 in some regards when I was reading some people discussing this. But what I'll do now is just pop it back on, but I won't, you know, run it. I'll just, because it'll be better for the stream with the lights on. I'll just have that sitting on my head like that. Let's put the caps back over. But yeah, it'd be good when I get that mount so I can test all these, like you said, with the thing you linked me to on AliExpress or whatever it was, because I've ordered that. So Let's flick that back around like that. Should tell you what, just before I put the light on, just for shits and giggles, now that's facing that way, I just wonder if this will work. Like, well, this way. Let me... just zoom in like that. Whether or not the focus will work on the webcam like this, I have no idea. I've dropped the battery. Yeah, it's definitely easier when you have it wired in properly. As soon as the crocodile clips come, it'll be fine, but... oh yeah, it would help, wouldn't it, if I open these caps off the back? Right, where am I feeling? There we go. Because it is fairly dark in here to my actual thing. Right, there we go. Right, now let's try it again. Is that around the right way or the wrong way? With the... there we go. Right, can you see anything? At the moment, I don't know if the webcam is focusing well enough with it. I think that was sharper like that, wasn't it? Yeah, because you can see the rifle in the background, just you can't really make out what it is when yeah, so I think that's as sharp as it's gonna get with the webcam, but I'll definitely obviously want to do a proper mount through it. But yeah, just in case you can actually see again through there, I'll stop playing about with this in a minute. But it's sort of pretty fascinating. Yeah, there we go. So that was it, just with a 9-volt. Obviously works better with this, but it'll be better when I get proper crocodile clips. The jumper cables I bought were just way too big, so there was a risk of shorting stuff if I used those because of how much metal contact there was. So, yeah, but the nice thing is they seem to work well. So at some point I might recharge that 9-volt. And obviously, as said, what I can also do is plug that back into here, and then I could maybe just do a better job of fitting the wires on this thing. Maybe do the crocodile clips from here, but there you go. Right, let me flick the light back on then, and I'll cover up this just to be safe. Yeah, that'd be good waste of loaner, but it's annoying at the moment that you can't seem to get anything to work to do it, but I'm generally left-wing libertarian if I do political compass tests, especially the ones I think that are accurate rather than, you know, but so yeah, this is what I've been powering it from, where it works pretty well, especially because it gets quite bright off of this, but yeah, the issue is getting the contacts on here properly. Not sure off eBay off the top of my head who's got them in, but there's a Shums here that I was wearing at the start. The PMG is also pretty skull looking, but yeah, you could go for any of those really. I'd say look up the prices between a PMG, a Shums, and an MM1 because they all look kind of skull looking, or maybe even a GP5M, and then see which one comes up the cheapest. Not really. I've got an M17 A2 and an XM28. Although I think the M17A2 is too late for Vietnam, but I don't really have any Nam specific US stuff. I'll quickly try it again because I think it should, but I had to readjust the mounts for it just now. Thank you, Mr. Chernobyl. Happy Halloween to you, even though saying Happy Halloween isn't really a thing over here. Right, let's have a go. I just don't want to drop my glasses anywhere. Right, let's put that safely there. when I find the power cable. There he is. I won't look at the screen, obviously, because I don't want to cause too much things going on with the thing. Let me probably just do 9 volt from this, couldn't I? There we go. Works perfectly. Yep. You can see very clearly. Let's focus these a little bit. But yeah, using that like that. I flipped it around the wrong way again. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, very, very clear image. Very bright as well. So yeah, it works fine with the shums, but obviously I won't look directly at the screen or the light with this. But yeah, it works. Right, let me put this away now, because as cool as it looks, I want to be very careful with it. So this will definitely get more of a play about once I get some proper crocodile clips for the bit on it. Right. Yeah, I'll definitely try other ones at some point. What I'll do is I'll wait till I've got my crocodile clip, so I don't have to worry so much about it randomly just disconnecting from the battery over and over. And then, yeah, it would be good to try it with different masks. Yeah, camera doesn't really need to be that high, does it? So let me just pan it down a bit. I've got the light slightly dimmer today because I thought for a Halloween stream we might as well have it dimmer, but it still ends up looking quite bright. Not intentionally, but I'm not going to shave it off now. I've got the Yugoslavian M1 and the Yugoslavian M2, also known as the Serbian M2. I'd have to watch Kelly's Heroes again and check, but I've not watched it in ages. But well, the Geiger counter, the one that will work very easily is that one. So yeah, I can put that on if you want for some ambient clicking. I'll put some Fiesta wear sort of there, so it clicks a bit, but not non-stop. Depends which version, Evan. Not the normal PNV57. I'd say the PNV57Es that I was showing just now are probably better than most generic Gen 1 units. But the problem is the PNV57, the normal one, is just Gen 0 because it literally requires an IR light. Yeah, go on, Waste, post it in the chat. Yeah, hopefully I'll be getting some strontium soon, so I should be able to make the Geiger counters go crazy with strontium. What was that, Evan? It says your grandpa used it in the army, but I didn't see what, if there was a previous comment. My name's Liam. Weirdly enough, you can find it on several of my things. No, I'm afraid I don't know much about helmet displays and stuff like that. Most of my helmets are stacked up on a load of shelves in a different room, so they're not properly displayed. There's some as well that you can probably see just sort of laying on the bed frame. Mike makes them, your mother. Whether or not he posts them, I don't know, to Israel, but he makes them. But his are like the quivers that attach to the bottom of the things. So if you meant like a little quiver bag kind of thing, I don't know, but he does like the quivers where you can take the bolts on and off and they attach to the side of the crossbow. If you look on his channel, your mother, I think he's got videos on there about, you know, like what they look like and all that. Yeah, Tora is a very good film. So it was a combination of the whites had more comfortable trains while the reds had trains that were less comfortable but gave you better protection. Any recent spooky occurrences? I don't think of much that's interesting, I'm afraid. I can't really think of any weird stuff other than weird coincidence kind of things where you think of something and then somebody ends up mentioning it. Yeah, I've still got all the old lighters. Cheers, Mr. Chernobyl. Yeah, be good when I get to 100k because then I can put a silver thing on the wall if they still do them at that point. All right, I'll try and remember to check that up if I can find it subtitled at some point. Yeah, I don't think we had a single person ring the doorbell, Mike. But yeah, if we want to talk about spooky stuff or political stuff, you've got a chance to do it on the stream because today was meant to be Brexit Day, and of course it's been delayed again. Halloween Free. Have you ever seen Halloween Free email? Because Halloween Free is one nobody likes, but more people actually like now. At the time, everybody hated it, and I think Halloween Free is genuinely actually quite a good movie. If you're new to gas mask collecting, I'd say something you can get cheap. So Shums potentially, if you can find them cheap. The MM1, if you can find one cheap still. GP5s, obviously. GP5Ms, Polish MC1s, Czech CM3s, Czech CM4s. A lot of the stuff I'm going to be suggesting is going to be Warsaw Pack stuff, but that's just generally because you can find it really cheap. Sometime in January, I think, but that's not necessarily going to be the date it will take to, because it depends on what happens on one of the elections coming up. You might get in trouble if you dress up as an SS soldier and go trick-or-treating. No spoilers, your mother. I haven't looked at his video yet. I want to do it after the stream. I very much doubt that, you know, Soviets killing people with tanks and shooting them were car accidents, but, you know. Yeah, see, this is the thing that happens, isn't it, when you end up getting all this stuff where they mess everybody about. People do take that attitude, Richard, of, yeah, I don't know if I can be bothered to vote now. Thank you, Ghost Jesus. Yeah, I haven't got any of the merch on today, just because it's actually not too warm in my room. I just don't feel cold today. Maybe it was a ghost in the machine, Gabriel. Or Gabriel. Yep, they had some very weird interests, the Nazis, of the occult. All the things about King Heydrich or whatever it was, and Heinrich Himmler thinking he was related to him or whatever it was. I imagine you could probably do that hype with those crossbow quivers quite easily, especially if you just put a carabiner or something on the back of them. The French accent in exchange for random history. I don't know if there is many scary stories from France. When they went to the restaurant and the wine was not good. A lot of the Indiana Jones stuff is based on some of the real occult stuff that the Nazis did. I don't know what of it was real and what wasn't, but yeah, they were certainly into trying to find the Holy Grail and digging up lots of weird sites. And what's the name of the castle where they've got the Black Sun on the floor and all that stuff, which is like the headquarters of the SS Occult Division? None, because nobody bothered coming to the door. So that means I've got to eat it all now. Well, Himmler was in charge of the SS, so he was more involved in the final solution, I guess. What I think might work well for pistol bolts, Mike, is getting one of these, the suffocation hood respirators, putting that bit on a molly system, and then filling this bit up with pistol bolts. I reckon that would work quite well. Yeah, Colditz was a prison, POW camp. Is he the one that went around with Joan of Arc? Scott was alleged to have done some pretty nasty things to children. I think it would just keep happening over and over and over again. Email will become like, a celebratory thing where people come to watch it, like tourists come to watch it. The annual delaying of Brexit. Yeah, I've actually got a bag a bit like that, Mike, but annoyingly it's not a molly type thing, but it's designed so it'll go on a regular bout. And then it's like, can hold something like 200 pistol crossbow bolts. It's where I store a load of my bolts when I'm not using them. But annoyingly, I was saying if it was a more modern design, it would probably be a molly type one, so you could actually put on a chest rig. I don't even actually recognize him from just the name Oscar Dierl Wagner. I know, obviously, like Himmler, Reinhard Heydrich, and all those. Not personally, obviously. I wouldn't really want to hang out with people like that. But, because Reinhard Heydrich had a lot to do with, like, the Holocaust, didn't he? In terms of, like, a lot of the planning of it and everything. No, I was already asked that just now, MG, and sadly, no spooky occurrences as of recently, other than just weird coincidence kind of things. Yeah, if you look on my channel, Pontus, you'll see there's a few videos on swords, halberds, and all stuff like that. No, DJ Balcony, I don't know what that is. Well, in UK time, there's still another 3.5 hours for Halloween stuff. I drink alcohol now and again, not all that commonly. Like I had some last night. I was saying that. What am I drinking here? But yeah, generally not all that often anymore. That's interesting. Yeah, I definitely need to, when the weather's good, actually do some tests outside of my NVGs and see what it's like with some of them, you know, just walking around in the dark. I know of, is it Chelno, Treblinka, and obviously Auschwitz. I know there were others, but they're like the famous ones, aren't they? Yeah, what Brexit means Brexit and all that sort of stuff. Rich. I wonder if is this conducted if I won't risk it actually. I was just wondering if I could complete a circuit using this and then use that to power the night vision. Well, to be honest, I don't have a massive opinion on Palestine and all this stuff. In general, you know, I don't really have a problem with Israel, and I don't have a problem with any of the other nations, though. You know, when they're at war with each other, it's nothing to do with me, is it? Yeah, they're still alive, Pontus. Favourite gas mask in my collection, my Avon CT12, but it's not particularly rare. I think vaccines are a very good thing and should be given to everybody, and I think anti-vaxxers are completely retarded. That's my completely honest answer to that. We've even had it at the animal shelter before, where people have been going, oh, if I adopt this animal, I'm not going to vaccinate it because I don't want to give my dog autism. And then we're like, well, you're not actually allowed to adopt it then. You dressing up for it, Slingshot Warrior? Just because I found them interesting, Sticky Note Studios, and they're cheap generally compared to a lot of surplus. Especially compared to Geiger counters and night vision. You know, bear in mind the one that's ticking away at the moment was like 140 odd quid second hand, where you know, get second-hand gas masks like 20 quid off them. As I've said, because I don't want the police randomly being allowed to come over whenever they want and basically force entry to have a look at my gun safe. You know, there's nothing to hide, but I would not sacrifice, you know, like warrantless entry to my house just for the sake of owning a gun I don't have anywhere to shoot. Is it your pig sticker mask, Slingshot, or is it a different one? Yeah, I like Nige. I mean, I don't know him personally, but I do like him on LBC. And there was a thing earlier, wasn't there, where Trump just phoned up LBC and started talking to him on the radio, you know, because it's a bit bizarre that when you actually have, you know, the American president just randomly phones a radio call-in show to chat with the host of a radio call-in show about how he doesn't like Corbyn. Well, if you say how expensive an average gas mask collection, it depends entirely on how many masks are in the collection and how rare they are. If you mean what's the average price of a gas mask, for the majority of them, like 20 to 30 pounds or dollars, a lot of them are quite cheap. That's all right, Mike. I'll definitely watch your video when the stream ends. If somebody breaks into your house, Zeppelin, ideally you should be able to use lethal force, like not torture them, be able to shoot them. Okay, so it's just like really kind of almost like on steroids, is it then, for Gen 1 then? That's sort of interesting. That would be why it's probably so bright, I imagine. 5 deactivate guns email. The SLR, the Lee Enfield. There's a PPSH and an RPK back there, and there's an M1 carbine up there. Fairbairn Sykes, definitely. Best M9 clone, finish M61s. Alright, see you, Isolona. Yeah, I just called to say I hate Corbyn. I've got a Labour Party political badge somewhere here. Where is it? It was on the table. I hope I haven't lost it. You might find this funny. And there it is. As this is a political stream, I don't mind showing it. So there we go. If you're a Labour voter, my favourite Jeremy Corbyn quote being "Stalin was a misunderstood man." I think that was quite a good one. That's interesting. Yeah, the thing is, I don't understand the science of them enough, but I get what you're saying, that like a really big Gen 1 tube essentially is accelerating them so fast, it's almost like it's hitting the microchannel plate and multiplying them. Thank you, Rini, or Rennie, however your name's pronounced. If you have a Patreon, not Patreon, if you have a Discord ID, post it in the chat and I can add you to the Discord server for everybody else that's donated at any point. Didn't they say the other day, Zeppelin, that they're now fearing we're going to enter an ice age? You see, this is my problem with this. I don't think we should be putting all sorts of horrible pollutants into the atmosphere and fucking destroying the Earth. But they can't ever seem to make their mind on whether it's going to get hotter or colder. So I'm sure that we're fucking up the planet. It's just, I don't know if it's necessarily going to get hotter all over the world or if it's going to get colder in some places and hotter in others. Yeah, I think it's because I normally don't allow politics. Now when there's one where people can actually talk about politics, they never do it. My favourite gas mask, the Avon CT12. It's still the same answer from earlier. I've never actually tried it. I know it's the tobacco you snort up your nose like Coke, isn't it? I've never actually tried it. I know, obviously, people have used it and often got on with it, but I don't think it should be illegal or anything like that. But I've never tried it myself. When I used to smoke, I normally used to smoke cigars or pipes. Yeah, especially if you can get them cheaper hype for that sort of price. Because when I was looking on eBay, because I wanted to see what B-Store's price was like compared to a lot of the others, most of the ones I could find from Eastern Bloc countries selling them were still in UK money, like $300 or pounds, plus like £30 postage. No, I am definitely not a communist, Pontus. I am definitely not a communist. You'll have to ask that to a Russian, Martin. They might be able to answer you better. But the thing is with these is I can understand why some people would charge expensive shipping on them. Because if you look at the massive thing they come in, let me just show you for the people that don't know. They are literally in, a steel case like this. So yeah, there's a fair bit of weight to these. Right, let me just pop that back where it's not going to knock anything over. No, I'm not a fascist either. I already said what my political beliefs were early in the stream, and you obviously didn't bother listening. Should be totally legal. Because, again, Zeppelin, I don't understand why we can have the double standard of where we go, oh, woman's body, her choice. Oh, but not if she makes money from it. Or, it's legal to have sex on camera as porn, but if a woman wants to be a prostitute, that's completely wrong. Especially because it's a lot safer for sex workers if it's completely legalized, because obviously if it's in essentially, like legal brothels and everything, they can have security there rather than forcing them to work street corners or whatever where they're an easy target. All right, see your sticky note studios. The thing is, my opinion on a lot of things like this, I don't know if we could ever make anything that good, Your Mother. We've got Zomba, obviously, with Mike, and Beastal was saying, could we put that Polish armor on Zomba and try shooting it and hitting it with different things that I'd be up for? Well, I'd probably want to take the liner and the plates out, because I'd ideally not want to wreck the liner on it. But yeah, that would be quite interesting, but I don't think we've really got anything that would get through it. Yeah, that could work, I guess, Rich. Well, my favourite gas mask, Mimi, is Avon CT12, but that doesn't make it the best mask. You know, it's completely down to personal opinion. What are zombie balls then, your mother? Let me Google it and wish I didn't. Right, I'll search that hype just a second, and I'll look up zombie balls as well and wish I hadn't. They look a lot more compact, don't they? That's the main difference, is how compact they look. Yeah, right, now let me look up zombie balls and see what they are. There's a giant testicle thing on one image. On the other, there is zombie balls, some sort of sweet, which look like a Cadbury's cream egg, but with grey stuff inside. So I don't think it's any of these things, is it? Yeah, I did find one picture, Rich, of a giant scrotum, like a plastic giant scrotum. So there was that. You bought one of these, did you? I've got a giant red filter on mine. Oh, the hose somehow came off. I don't know how that happened. It was meant to be screwed on, but yeah. Giant red filter. Yeah, Israeli M15s are pretty good masks. It's certainly not my favourite, but they're not bad at all. They are good. It's just not, you know, again, it's personal preference of masks. Yeah, you did a video on it, Swingshot. I have barely listened to Sabaton. They've got one called Panzer Battalion or something, haven't they? Because I think I saw a music video suddenly done with loads of tanks once. That sounded all right. S10s are good, thin, but don't spend too much on them because they're not worth like hundreds of pounds if that's the current going price for some. I've got Fine Fluke. I've got most of the Fine Fluke albums actually on CD. And if you don't believe me when I say that, as in I bet he pirated Fine Fluke, just give me 1 second and I will be back. Well, it'll be longer than 1 second, but although on the Fine Fluke CDs, there's probably a picture I can't show you under the disc. It'd probably get me instantly demonetized. I'll flick the other light on now as well. But yeah, if you want proof that I like Fine Fluke, first album or one of the re-releases of the first album, ISTG Phase 3, the Invisia single, which was this one, Hirnschlacht, or whatever it's called. That's like the album I can remember least for some reason. Stay of Life, which is probably my favourite one. And Vulcan Army, which is also very good. Or I suppose it's Falcon Army, isn't it? Because apparently I'm not meant to pronounce it Volk. But yeah, I do have quite a lot of Fine Fluke stuff. Yeah, I'll check the Discord just a second. Let me just pop these down. Oh, shit. Shit the bed. Right. Alright, let me have a look on Discord then, what you guys are on about. It's taking ages to load up. Let me go back to the chat and then I'll check Discord in a minute. $20 to $30 or pounds, Simon, I guess. I just searched Soviet civil defense poster on eBay, and that was one of the ones that came up. That one's just about respirators, but you get ones talking about like fallout exposure and stuff like that. MC1 is fine for what it is. Well, if I'm getting them from China email, normally it's a week to 2 weeks. Sometimes can be longer, but in generally, once something ships, it doesn't take more than 2 weeks, assuming that customs doesn't be funny about it. Right, okay, so your mother... okay, so it's like a clay sort of head thing, is it? Right, cool, I'll have a look at that in a bit. That looks interesting. And then, yeah, they were the images I found on Google Hype, but yeah, they look a lot smaller, don't they, than the, what's it ones I've got? The 57Es. Well, bear in mind I don't actually shoot handguns because I'm in the UK, but probably just 9x 19mm because by this point you can get quite a lot of very good pistols in 9x 19 with decent mag capacity. UK to Denmark, probably 2 or 3 days. Once it's left the UK email, I think it'll be less than 1 day going from the UK to Denmark. It's just how long does the postal service take on each side to get it to you? It's more like a kind of clay skull thing, Mike, from what I could see from the little picture. So, you know those air rifle targets you've got, the exploding clay one? I think it was more like modelling kind of, like hardened clay on the actual kind of shape of a skull. It was like somebody saying the other day, imagine in the future when kids say, wow, in my local surplus store, I can get an Avon FM53 for $20 or like £20. Probably 7.62 NATO because it's what all the big old classic battle rifles are in, still being used today. I'm probably seeing Mike not next week, but the week after Slingshot Warrior, but we've not confirmed it yet. What are the random? Oh, was that Rich saying a caliber then? I think it should be legalized. I was saying earlier, I think all drugs should be legalized, really. Have rules about driving under the influence of them and everything like that, but don't let a black market, have exclusive control over them, because that's like the worst thing you can do. Because obviously organized crime makes lots of money from prohibitions. As in the AKM round, the Blue Fam. But yeah, it's a pretty classic round. That'd be very cool to get an ECH, yeah. The leather armor, it's not actually leather. What that is like weird orange impact foam. It's French riot armor. Search that on my channel and you'll see me wearing that while getting hit with a bat. Somewhere in America, probably. The old Big ET, but I don't know exactly where. Probably somewhere cold in America. Right, I'm not going to say those Zexide or however your name's pronounced, just because there isn't proper freedom of speech in the UK. And why, in theory, you can only get done for possession of a certain amount and supply of a certain amount. I wouldn't like to tell potential future employers what I've potentially done, or the police if they change the rules in the future to retroactively. Because at the moment, they keep even saying the thing about where, possession should not, they want to try and legalize it, so possession shouldn't be illegal. But then the government's going, oh, we don't see any evidence that being soft on drugs would stop people abusing them. No, we just wanted to test the right armor, and I always like doing that in the most stupid way possible. What would be interesting, though, Hype, is what if they start buying those Chinese thermals that are actually fairly decent for what they are? It depends. If you mean out of the 2 AK rounds, 545 Pontus, just because it's a flatter trajectory and obviously it's a lighter round. If you meant like 7.62 NATO versus 545, I'd want 7.62 NATO. No, I've never been stabbed. I've had a knife pulled on me, I think, twice at this point, but I've never been stabbed. And, you know, that was kind of the reason in the end that I ended up buying body armor. But thankfully, I don't work in the city anymore, so I don't get knives pulled on me daily. Yeah, that was my point, Gabriel. It's flat trajectory like a 5.56. It's pretty much just the Russian equivalent of 5.56, isn't it? Oh, probably one of the absolutely massive nuclear bunkers. But I think a lot of those are completely classified. But saying you could visit any of them, like some of those massive, like, mountain nuclear bunkers they have in America. But if not, I mean, I'm hopefully visiting Chernobyl next year, so that's a big Cold War kind of nuclear thing ticked off, but not due to nuclear war, due to nuclear accidents. But generally, I find bunkers and sort of missile defense things quite interesting. Probably Trabant, MG, although I know there's modern larders now, which are probably better than obviously Trabants. I do like classic Trabants, even though I wouldn't really want one. I'd rather fly on an Airbus because Airbuses don't crash as much now. That's interesting. Stalin's bunker. How good is that then, hype? Because I don't actually know how good that is on paper or whatever. Because obviously FLIR makes some pretty good stuff, and my thing's like the most basic level unit you can get from FLIR, but even that's still pretty impressive for certain applications, especially if you imagine they started putting them in pretty much everything. The Geiger counter in the background. Favorite car brand? I don't really know, to be honest, because a lot of them are big soulless companies now. I've got a Dacia, and I like a Dacia. I mean, I know Dacia is owned by Renault, but still, you know, I kind of like having a really cheap Romanian car that just works. Yeah. I have actually, I know obviously the FLIR is not $5,000, but one of the things I have done with the FLIR is check where we've got some water leaking in one of the ceilings of the house, and using the FLIR you can actually pinpoint where it's coming from, because you're like, oh look, the coldest patch is where it's coming in, whereas if you just look at the ceiling, the damp patch isn't where it's coming in. It kind of goes along a bit before it goes damp. I don't know. I have not been keeping up on the Sandero news because I won't be buying a new car for absolutely ages now. But yeah, as long as they keep pricing the Sanderos at a decent, cheap price, they should carry on selling well. What, as in like Kalashnikovs versus other things? Probably just Kalashnikovs, I'd say, Blue Fam, because there's just so many guns that have been made off the AK platform. And I know obviously like AR-15 platform is more accurate and everything, but I don't know, I just like the AK as a platform of, you know, oh, it just works, basically. Shame what happened to Rhodesia. I've actually met some Rhodesians, because a few of them, you know, came to the UK after Rhodesia lost the Bush War, basically surrendered. And yeah, it's a real shame, just because obviously Zimbabwe turned into a complete shithole, basically. Yeah, I keep getting asked about Mark Felton. I've subscribed to him. YouTube doesn't send me the videos, even though I'm subscribed, so there you go. One of my friends had a kit car, what was it, Richard? A Caterham 7 kit car. Completely smelt of petrol because it didn't burn the petrol that efficiently, but it was a fun car. I think there's a video of it on the channel. Well, I know AKs aren't the most reliable guns ever. I'm just saying I like it as a platform. Because I know when people go like, the AK is the most reliable gun ever. Well, it technically can't be, because a bolt-action rifle would be more reliable than an AK in terms of cycling every time. Because it's, you manually cycling it as opposed to, blowback and everything else. I like cars, yeah, Mr. Chernobyl, that obviously accelerate quickly and brake efficiently. So I kind of prefer rally-style cars to, like, F1 cars, if we're on about different, like, classes of racing cars. Yeah, I suppose that can happen. Rimlock. Are there any bolt actions, though, where that can't happen? What about that straight pull Swiss one? Saab, definitely. Old Volvos are cool, but modern... I know Saab doesn't really make cars anymore, sadly, but modern Volvos are a bit, you know... Whereas Saabs are, you know, pretty cool looking. And they made planes as well, like the Viggen and the Draken. Is that the Swedish rotting fish, Pontus? I do it and work weekends, random sod, and people who are nice donate to me in the chat and Patreon and whatever else. But the answer is no, I wouldn't make enough off of YouTube to do it full-time reliably and never have to worry about anything. It also depends on your living expenses as well. Because if you owned your house already or whatever, you weren't paying any rental bills or anything like that, maybe just utilities, you could probably easily, comfortably make enough on YouTube. But the other thing with YouTube is I don't know how much I trust YouTube, you know, in constant, oh, we need to demonetize something else in case it offends people kind of thing. That's the other problem with sort of YouTube stuff. I've done a video on it, but basically just because it's very comfortable for my face, gives me a good field of view, it's very reliable and well built. You know, it's just lots of good factors that go towards it being good, in my opinion. Yeah, Richard, my first car was a Citroen C3. No mechanical problems whatsoever. There was an electronic fault. The central locking fucked up, and basically all the doors would permanently stay unlocked. Citroen wanted a load of money to attempt to fix it. The first time I paid them a couple of £100. They attempted it. Nothing happened, basically. And then it's this time, pay us like £4,000 or something and we'll try and fix it, but we can't guarantee you it'll work. So I was like, no thanks, I'm selling the car. So yeah, that's my problem with a lot of cars that rely on electronics. Is obviously, yeah, like you said, your car can essentially brick itself if something just crashes on the software somehow. Maybe the pewter gas mask, because, you know, if they had to rely on that, the straps would ping off. I've got a model of Commanderski, but I mostly wore the Amphibia. If you're going to get one, I'd say go for the Amphibia, unless there's a massive price difference. But the Commanderski is probably good enough. Because, again, this is technically better than Amphibia, the watch I've got on now, but I think the Amphibia still has a bit more charm in some way. Yeah, I suppose the Avon Escape Hood, if they didn't know how to open the oral nasal cut, would also be a good choice. Right, I'll go off in a few minutes. Weirdly, for a Halloween stream, not much of it has been about politics or spooky stuff. The only reason it was politics, those of you who didn't catch it, today was meant to be Brexit Day, and it's been delayed again. I've got some Polish masks. I've got the Polish OM14. I've got the MUA. I've got the MP4, the MP4B, the MP5, the MC1, the SR1 Casualty mask. See, I've got quite a few Polish masks. I don't see the appeal of a Rolls-Royce Unknown Russian. If I had the money, I'd rather just keep my current car and then spend the money on other milsurp shit. Imagine how much night vision and all that you could buy for the price of a Rolls-Royce. I forgot they had gas masks on D&B Militaria, but let me check. Because when I looked at gas masks before on there, they were very expensive for the models there were. But let's just search gas mask. Okay, they've got a German World War II mask for £95, a GM30 for £125, a B2B I don't recognise for £145, a Scott GSR for £75, that's not too bad, British civilian mask for £50, that's expensive, a VM37 for £85, that's very expensive, Another World War II German mask in bad condition for £95. An American Mark IV mask for £250. That's very cool, but I wouldn't spend £250 on it. Italian World War II C-38 gas mask for £75. I bought one recently for 20 quid, although mine's French, not Italian, but it's the exact same mask. I think that is a French mask, not an Italian one. Let's have a look. Yep, they've listed a French mask as an Italian mask, but yeah, I bought one for 20 quid. I certainly wouldn't pay 75 quid for it. PDFs are 45 quid on there. Japanese Type 1 gas mask, which isn't too dissimilar from the one I've got that's falling apart in the other room, for 295 quid. Mark IV respirator for 95 quid. What other stupidly expensive ones are there? Civilian duty mask for 50 quid. That's not too bad. Again, they've got one British civilian gas mask for 20 quid, so I don't know why the prices are so different. What other masks have they got on here that are stupidly expensive? Let's have a look. A late model Mark V for 65 quid. Another civilian duty for 75. The rarer Mickey Mouse for £125. The Mark IV with a long tube for £165. Another VM40 for VM37 for £95. Some Mark IVs for £75, £225. Mickey Mouse mask in good condition, as in the British Mickey Mouse mask, for 275 quid. That's a bit of a rip-off. Yeah, so other than some of the weird US World War II masks they've got on here, most of them are very overpriced. One they've got listed as VM37, but it's actually a VM40, and they've got the VM40 listed as a VM30. Well, there's the picture of a VM40, and it says VM37, and there's a picture of VM37, it says a VM40. But yeah, both of those are very overpriced. Another VM37 for £85. So yeah, their masks are very expensive. Their prices aren't too bad on DX, but for gas masks, I would not pay that. Yeah, the thing I still find crazy is the ZSU-23-4, the Shilka, apparently runs completely on vacuum tubes and all that sort of stuff. Well, Yugoslavia made gas masks, so Croatia had some of the masks Yugoslavia used, but I don't know if they made any domestically. All right, cool, Mike. Yeah, I should catch some Slingshot stream, otherwise I'll just watch some Creep Show on that a bit later. I'll be off any minute now, Ernie. Probably thousands, Mr. Chernobyl. I don't know at this point. It's probably depressing if I actually figure that out. Yep, if you can get a Soviet MM1 for £10, go for it. Definitely go for it for £10. Well, that's very cool hype. I didn't know that. But yeah, it's a shame, isn't it, that Saab kind of went down the shitter, because Saab made really cool stuff. No, I'll be working it anyway, so. But, you know, generally I sometimes watch some stuff and I always buy a Poppy, but, you know, I never go to any services or anything on it. They're still making the Shum 2012, aren't they? I didn't know they were still making GP5M, but is it produced under a different name? What's my favourite uniform in history? Maybe the Swiss Guard. If you mean like more modern stuff, I really like these German uniforms. Anyway, I'll be off now. Yeah, there is a black version of the Shums, like most Soviet masks. They were made in grey and black. Oh, I didn't know about that, MG, but I know a couple of nations have done that. Right, anyway, I'll be off. I might hopefully catch some of Slingshot stream in a bit. That's interesting. I didn't know it was why they made the jet look that way, just for the weight of the electronics. But it's fascinating that you can do all that. Isn't a lot of that stuff meant to be EMP proof as well, if it's made of vacuum tubes and that, as opposed to, you know, like semiconductors and everything? There is one, Ernie, but it's a rebreather. The IP4M has a oral nasal cup, but sadly it's a rebreather, not a 40mm Ghost mask. But otherwise, yeah. Oh yeah, I'll definitely check that out in a minute, Mike. Sadly, I can't speak Polish. Yeah, that is a Polish radio biggity. It's not very nice, is it? Anyway, I'll be off. So thanks everybody for joining in. It didn't really end up being a Halloween stream. People just talked about whatever, but that was fine. Thanks for everybody that's donated as well. I always appreciate that. I can put that towards gas masks or the battery components and the crocodile clips I'm trying to get all that night vision stuff working. But right, see everybody and have a good happy Halloween. Whatever. Happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock.